Well, do we have a special treat for you today on The Garden Life? I am here with my buddy Roger. You know Roger, and I am also here at Michael's home. We have an absolutely fabulous mid-century modern home and garden that we are going to take a look at today. It is so unique. It is filled with all sorts of masterful outdoor art. Well, there's just a lot to see and a lot to talk about. So what do you say, Stuart?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So give me a little bit of background information. The home was built in 1971.
Yes.
You and your husband have been here since
No, we bought the house in 1997, so we've been here 28 years.
28 years.
28 years. We've been together 37.
Okay.
We moved from the village and we fell in love with this house and we bought it in 1997.
Okay, so Michael, I love this. Michael is a ballroom dancer.
Yes.
And he had a studio in a nearby community in Edmond not too long ago, and your husband's a banker.
Yes, he
is.
is.
So are you both responsible for the upkeep, for the design? Is this mostly your purview?
I'd say it's mostly mine. Most of the
And
time.
Roger's.
And Roger's and John.
recently.
Yes,
Just-
yes.
Very light touch.
He has a great eye and does it, but he gets eaten up by mosquitoes a lot. So
Yeah.
he doesn't come out as often as I do. But we jointly work on it, and he likes everything that I come up
well,
with.
it's just a really unique space.
Thank
So a lot of the things here, and let's get out of the way, gentlemen, so that we can focus on some of the old mature plantings here. Starting with, in the corner, Roger, you said that.
Isn't that an incense? It's an incense cedar, and
Wow.
it may be one of the tallest ones in Oklahoma City.
That's
Isn't it
incredible.
beautiful?
Yes, striking, is it not?
And the way it has been pruned is simply majestic.
Thank you.
It
Thank
looks
you.
like it belongs in Washington State.
I love that.
Or
Well, thank
Oregon.
you. Thank you.
Well, especially with the fabulous cloudy skies we've got today.
Perfect day today to
Yeah,
do
it's
this,
a backdrop.
yes.
And then you have lots of other mature plantings that look like they've been here for a pretty long period of time, some of them
Yes.
dating back to 71.
Yes.
So, gentlemen, why don't you kind of do just circumscribe and describe some of these plants, starting with this
Well,
bridal wreath spirea.
Yeah, isn't that great to see something that mature? And it is stunning when it's in bloom. It really is beautiful. And so that has the tiny, tiny little white flowers, lined up on the stems as opposed to the round,
Right.
Van Hootii spirea that you put in food coloring. Gray owl juniper.
Gray owl juniper.
Uh-huh.
And how
then-
old would you say that juniper is?
I would think it was original to the house.
It was.
And
Yeah, there are several
again,
of those.
the way you have pruned it,
Yes,
and,
ma'am.
and over time, if there was any dead wood or whatever,
Yes.
I imagine you pruned that out.
Thank
So-
you.
So it's got this kind of Japanese quality.
Thank you. Yes, the airiness to it. I liked
Uh-huh.
it instead of being a bulk heavy thing. Yes.
Yeah.
The other thing that I love is this is a neighborhood
Yes,
that
it is.
dates back to the 70s. But when you come up into your drive, and you are on a fairly busy
Yes.
neighborhood street, but it feels so secluded back in here. It almost feels like, I don't know, like a camp or something.
Yeah, we get the same feeling when we're out
like
there.
a
Yes.
lodge.
Yes.
Like a lodge. It's wonderful. So this, I guess, will be the first of many pieces of sculpture that we see here.
Yes.
This
I call
open
it
orb.
Yes, I call it the ball and chain.
The ball, the old ball and chain.
Don't tell my husband that.
I
but yes.
will not. That is brilliant, though.
Thank
and the
you.
other thing that you guys will notice as we kind of walk through the property is so much of it is this rusted metal.
Yes.
And many of these pieces you designed yourself.
I did. That's right.
So let's describe that process a little bit as we continue to walk over
Okay,
here.
sounds great.
So you said that you just practice origami?
Well, depends on the piece. The one I showed you in the back, yes, I found Vance Simpson, a good friend of mine that knows how to weld brilliantly.
Uh-huh.
We went to a salvage yard of metal. He had a big truck. We just threw all sorts of things in. I found a big disc. I found square pipes, round pipes.
Wow.
Not knowing what we do with them, and then I just start daydreaming and come up with something.
Come up with something.
And Mr. Wizard would make it work for me.
And we will look at some of those pieces over there. But first, look at the fabulous yucca in bloom. in front.
Was it yucca or yucca?
Yucca. As long as it's not yucky, and it is not yucky, it is fabulous. I love those arching branches. I love the way you've got it mulched with rocks, stones, pebbles, because boy, does that relate to the facade of your house. And
just so you know that this is the most we've had bloom like this. In honor of you coming, I think they knew you were coming, and they all came to bloom this time.
Well, I appreciate the heck out of that. I love it when that happens. But I mean, just look at the wonderful front of the house. Okay, it looks like did you have any kind of input into that light fixture, which looks merry? Okay, it's very, very appropriate to to this kind of craftsman.
Yes. But still, it worked
style
with
house.
Midcentury, I thought.
Yeah, just absolutely wonderful. And so, is this a cottonwood?
Isn't that
Yes, it
beautiful?
is.
Oh my
Two of them.
gosh!
Yeah.
Well, when this turns yellow, gold, oh my word!
Yes.
And Michael, do you get good color out of the sweet gum
Yes.
at the same time?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
And
And the
these-
fall is very colorful and beautiful to me, so it changes totally seasons.
And these are trees that really wouldn't be planted today because they do have some, some misgivings. And when we have some misgivings about planting them because of the debris and because of the little balls and things. But these are so spectacular that once again, you almost feel like you're on Big Sur or something because they're just so massive.
they really do. Really give us a framework to work with in the garden. And I think the size of the trees makes the house feel a little more intimate.
Oh, definitely. It feels very secluded. Cypress over here. The kind of feathery leaved cypress. And what a beautiful combo of these junipers and the incense cedar and the cedars in general with the cypress.
The different textures and different shades of green.
And the trunks, the bark and the patterns are just exceptional.
I give credit to the man that built the home. I think it was an arborist or would want to be. He created all of the look of where all the trees you see. That was from the 70s on.
Well, and they have just really, they in and of themselves are works of art.
Yes, I think so too.
And
that attracted us to the home.
Yeah, and then your pieces really, I think, there's great synergy between the plantings and these pieces. So
thank you.
Did you design?
No, this is one I did not. A good friend of mine, Gina, gave it to me years ago. She found it at a garden center.
Oh, wow.
And I was with her and I just was raving about it. And then at Christmas time, bingo, there it was. She brought it for me. But most all the others are mine, mostly.
Okay. But that said, you are very, very supportive of the local art community.
As much as I can be, inside and out.
In Oklahoma City, as is Roger with Garden Design, your company. Now, I love this piece.
Thank you.
Because I love this kind of, talk about framing the view, this wonderful round portal into what you call square peg.
Square peg.
Square peg in a round hole.
Yes, and this was Roger's placement. I had it in another location. He did it instantly and I fell in love with it.
Well, it's spectacular and it makes such a statement, Roger.
Well, thanks.
And then you also came up with the idea here of stacking the flagstone.
Just to kind of clean this up a little bit. We had a real steep slope that was hard to keep anything growing on, and you didn't want to, you can't cover the roots of the tree. So most of the stone was just laid flat on the surface of the ground, and we just moved it and stacked it up to give us this nice long line that kind of connects disparate elements of landscape and hardscape and house.
Well, I love the fact that it gives dimension and elevation, and it makes it look so much more important. Let's take a break here before we go on and look at some more things, but here's a brilliant tip once we come back. Now, this is an absolutely brilliant to tour here that you said your friend also made.
Yes.
Made 4 of them for a wedding. And this is really spectacular. What I also love about it is if you have an area right in front of a long, narrow section and you, for one reason or another, can't plant anything there,
Yes.
or whatever you wanted to plant just wouldn't do well, then something like this, a piece of garden ornament that is appropriate to the scale of the space that you can transform into a planter, that's just a brilliant solution.
Thank you. Yes, I thought it worked great.
It looks wonderful. And then I also love the fact that, Roger, there's this great harmony between all of these rusted pieces and, like here, this edging. So describe this.
Well,
this is such a great tip.
It's just, it's just the standard, edging that we use to edge beds and a lot. And we've got a lot of elements going on here. We've got the corner of the house, we've got gravel, we've got a concrete step, we've got flagstone, we've got elevation changes. But we just wanted to create this one long sweep of a line that kind of welcomes you into this area there.
And it simultaneously welcomes you, but it also defines that area almost
Yes.
as if it's another garden room. And the other advantage of this, Michael, is practical, because what were you saying earlier about this step?
Several people could miss it when it was all just cement. And once they see that now, they never miss that step and see it and step up, so we don't have issues that way.
Yeah, it really frames it beautifully. And it also kind of tells you at this punctuation point that there is a path through here, which you say Michael had already installed.
Yes.
Before Roger, you came, you terraced this, so you'd be able to access that space up in there. And this looks like a sweet spire.
It is, yes.
Maybe a Little Henry or something. And talk about this, and it repeats in other pieces around the property, this slag glass.
Well, it's such a nice contrast to the rusted metal. It's very sharp edged and shiny, and it's also it's reflective and transparent at the same time, and so you get lots of changes during the day depending on the light. And it's fun to be able to use it. Try not to overuse it.
Well, but the other thing is that it really, again, is so consonant with the organic quality of everything here.
Well, thanks.
It's really wonderful. So I think maybe we might want to move on to the back, but before we do, what is this marvelous piece here hanging on the stone wall?
It was at a nursery in Norman, and I fell in love with it. And I purchased it just because it moved me. I'm not sure who did it or designed it. I just really like the movement of the men, and I like circles, if you haven't noticed. I like a lot of round circles a lot.
Well, it's just marvelous. And I love the repetition of the shapes and forms. I just love this whole space. It's very calming.
Thank you.
It's very serene.
Thank you.
Well, and like Michael said, if you just look at it, we got a circle here, we've got a circle sitting inside of a circle, we've got part of a circle here, we've got a circle there. That is that repetition really makes us be able to use a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
that it all relates.
and all of it is kind of informed by the same curvature of your drive.
Yeah.
So you've got that same oval, and that's a wonderful design tip, you guys, is you just take an existing line and then you repeat it in different garden elements, in flower beds, etc., throughout the space. You've got some great pots just sitting in here, and it just really looks wonderful. And boy, I cannot imagine what this must look like in the fall when it turns color.
It is beautiful, striking, very.
So well limned up.
Yeah, it just goes to show how you can romance the ordinary by exquisite, very discriminating, tasteful pruning. Okay, Roger, bring Stuart into this wonderful courtyard
Courtyard, we call it the courtyard.
with another work of art. This is just, it reminds me of those old washboards.
Yes, and I just love the sound of running water. It's very soothing to me. So we have it in the front and in the back. So once you leave the driveway and come up and you're by the door already, I think it's a calming, you've moved away from the city, so to speak.
Yes, absolutely. And you've got these layering with this, all of this abundant textural greenery above the line of the stone wall. And it's just very simple, meditative, and serene. We've just got one large boxwood. And this is what, Roger, you and me, we love our boxwood.
Yes.
We love our boxwood. And this is a case where it's not pruned into a clip form.
I like it.
Yeah,
Isn't it
it's
nice?
yes, it's still beautiful and natural, but the way you have it pruned so artfully is you can still see some of the branching, and that is just it gives that airiness and translucence. You can see through it to the stone wall behind.
I guess it would have worked to have a nice globe or a cone or a pyramid or something in there, but the looseness of it really is a better counterpoint, I think, to the stone wall.
Yeah, this is not that kind of
Isn't
garden.
this wall
No.
amazing? Look at the discoloration, the age from the top down, and those orange lichens that are growing on it. I mean, you just can't. That's something that's just got to be here for this length of time for it to look that beautiful.
Well, it feels like you are in like a state park or
Yes.
just it very much has that vibe,
Yeah.
like you're on vacation.
I love that. I love that.
And it's just very calm, and I imagine you could come out here if you're pretty stressed about life, and in short order, that trickling water would really calm you down. Okay, now we're going to take a little break, and we're going to go inside. Okay, tell me about this fabulous door. Now, this is another great tip, I know.
When we bought the house, the front door was pretty average and it didn't send us. We didn't like it very well, and we talked about maybe replacing it. And then I was driving by a bank that had copper up on the top of their awnings and stuff, and they were tinted. I loved the look, so I got a copper artist to cut me a sheet to fit the door, and then they put a wash on it that made it patina the green color. And I've loved it ever since.
That's cool.
Wow, and this is just screwed onto
Just
the facade of
screwed
the
right
door.
into. It's a solid door, so it could screw right in there.
What a brilliant idea.
Thank you.
And it was probably not an inexpensive proposition to do the whole door, but you could do something also.
You could do it in
just with-
squares or patches. Yes, you could.
Yeah.
And I thought it was very organic, like the courtyard,
and
but just
yes.
organic, more so than just solid copper or something. I like
Yeah.
the patina. Like I said, it gives it an organic feel to me.
Yeah, it relates beautifully to the garden.
Thank you.
And talk about the flooring once you come inside.
Okay. It's the original terrazzo floor that was in when it was first built in this 71, and we kept it because we loved it, and it honored the past. And I just think it's I like all the multicolors of earth tones, and so we fell in love with it and kept it.
And just a beautiful segue from outdoors to in when you come in. The vibe is very much still the same,
Yes.
with magnificent pieces of art everywhere. Talk to us about this atrium you've got.
When we first moved in, it was all bricked. And I thought, well, okay, we could put baskets of plants and blooming things. And all of a sudden, in one of the corners, I saw some green thing growing up. And so I got down there and removed some bricks and saw it was dirt, soil. And so I took all the brick out and we added to the soil. And then we created a flagstone path to walk through, so I'd have kind of separate sections. And I changed it out seasonally. It's totally different at Thanksgiving, pumpkins and gourds and stuff. And then in the holidays of Christmas, it's ornaments and different things and Hanukkah touches. And then in spring, it changes to blooming things. So I can garden year round in here when I can outside.
And you said that when you first planted this schiffelera,
Yes.
that it was how tall?
Maybe 3 foot tall. It was a bush, more looking like a bush. And I just liked it, and it just liked us, and it just grew. And now it's almost as tall as the full atrium and going out toward the glass out there. So it must like us very well.
Much of that piece over there.
Yeah, that piece over there is just spectacular. And
Thank
it
you.
coordinates
Thank you.
beautifully with the mop.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is just incredible. So would it be fair to say that you guys are art collectors?
I would like to think so, yes.
Yes.
And we like to support local artists. Most all of our art is done here in Oklahoma or in the city or the state.
This is beautiful.
Thank you. That's by Joy Richardson. And again, liking organic, there are 7 layers of tinted paraffin on the wall to give it the depth, and if you can feel, it's just very smooth. So it's not paint, it's paraffin wax that they tinted all the way from eggplant to oranges to 2 or 3 different colors of reds. An artist came in that I taught dancing to, and she created this, and it took her well over a week, because you have to lay 1 layer, let it harden and dry, and then and there's, I believe, 7 layers of
And this
paraffin.
was your vision? And
She did some at the studio and showed me her work, and I fell in love with it. And then she came over, and I love red, so we created. She showed me 3 or 4 samples, and I chose the color combination I liked, and then she went to work.
So the work of art came first.
No, believe it or not, it was the wall. And then we were shopping for a big piece of art, and my husband, for my birthday, wanted to give me some art, and we went to Joy Richardson's, and I fell in love with this because I like the touches of red, but all the other colors to blend.
It's perfect.
It fits perfectly.
It's perfect.
There, tell me a little bit about these amazing bowls and those marvelous hands, sculpted hands on the wall.
Well, these bowls are done by an artist in California, and some good friends of ours had 3 of them, different colorings, and I just loved how striking it was. And some of our students that I taught gave us, my husband and I, some money to whatever we wanted to do, so we bought art with it.
And the colors,
Yes.
perfectly.
Well, what I did was I sent him a picture of the painting, and I said, we need to coordinate all the colors you can and create them, and he came up with these 3 combinations that I thought were pretty striking.
You have lots of customized artwork.
Thank you.
Now, talk to me about these.
Okay, I love hands. Female hands or men, I think they're very fluid, very strong. I just like the hands. And so we created some centerpieces for a showcase we were doing that had an arm, and that had the hand with the table number on it. When it was all over, I took the arm part off, and
Oh, that would've been cool.
and I just
Oh,
took the
wow.
hands and put them in the wall. Then I had a glass artist in Edmond. I said, I want to find some sort of small vase that can hold in a hand that's red and yellow to tie with that. And he created these 4 vases.
Well, you really had great vision. The
Thank you.
home is just a marvelous showcase.
Thank you.
I'm just going to be quiet for just a little while and let Stuart just kind of give you an idea of the view that lies beyond in the backyard, and then also really talk a little bit about some of these other magnificent pieces that you have. I'll just let you take it away, Michael.
Okay.
Over here, maybe?
Okay. I'm not sure who this artist is, but my husband Joe, his best friend Kelly, had recently passed away, and Kelly wanted us to have this.
Oh.
So not only do we love the look of it, but it's very sentimental.
Yes.
But I do not know the artist's name, unfortunately.
Now this, I have to say, this looks like an Academy Award. Or a very tall Academy Award.
Yeah,
Oscar,
that is true. That is
Oscar.
true. I do like the male form. I have it several places. You saw the 4 men out front and there. I have it here, and we even have 2 metal men hanging from the lights there. And I changed out the handles on the sliding doors of the atrium, and there's 2 male figures there. So I do like the male form.
Yeah, they almost have like a circus quality,
Yeah.
or a
Like
tightrope
tightrope walkers or
tightrope
aerialists.
walkers.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so interesting how these
Thank
have all come together.
And this is over time, you know.
Right. And this magnificent piece, oh my gosh, this may be my favorite piece.
Thank you. These are coconut shells that have been shattered and glued on this shaded acrylic dome. And then, fortunately, I can't remember, these are twigs that they were woven, I want to say in South Africa. And they waved them into like this huge like wreath, and then they installed this piece in the center.
Well, and
And again, organic and natural.
and balances beautifully. Here I said I wasn't going to say anything, but now it just balances so beautifully and gives you great symmetry
Thank you.
in this room. Now, before we go out into the major courtyard off of your living room area, we would be remiss if we did not talk about this fabulous origami sculpture that you and Joe Freeman,
That's my husband,
okay,
yes,
okay,
yes.
have positioned here so beautifully out the back. And you made this by designing it out of a piece of paper, you said.
Yes, my friend Vance and I went to a salvage yard, like I told you I think before, and I found that disc which I wanted and had to have, and the square pipe. And I didn't know what I was going to do with them, so one day I thought, I'm going to cut out round circles out of cardboard. And then I thought, I tried to put it, anyway, so I cut it and I started folding it, kind of like an origami thing. And then I walked in to Vance and I said, the disc, I want this. And he rolled his eyes really big, but he did it.
He is a
And
master.
I thought he would be cutting and folding all of these, but what he did was he cut all these pieces and welded them back together, so it looks like it just opened and folded like that.
And originally you had envisioned, I'm going to sneak over here, you had envisioned that this would be a bird feeder, but you said that this in the summer, in an Oklahoma summer, this heats up.
The birds wouldn't settle in there. They didn't want to get in there and eat it, or they'd jump in and jump right back out. So I finally gave up on that, and then Roger, someone suggested I wanted something in there, and he suggested this green slag glass, which I really like, and when the sun catches it, it's just brilliant in color, and I can see it out of the kitchen every time I'm in there. So
it's a wonderful focal point.
Yes.
Now, again, in reference to Oklahoma weather extremes, you had a different cactus in here that you lost.
Few years, and then all of a sudden, with everybody losing full-grown trees and stuff, it turned jet black, and piece by piece, I kept cutting it off till it was nothing, so I just took it out.
Yeah.
And then Roger brought me this variety, which unfortunately I'm not sure the name of this.
What is this, Roger? It doesn't have spikes
It's
or spines.
Opuntia. I think it's Opuntia elisiana.
Good to have Roger on
And
hand.
I just like it. It's so sculptural. And this one, you know, it's a little iffy because to survive our winters because it's in a pot, you know, but in the ground, it's usually a pretty good bed as long as it's not too wet.
Okay.
I did use a trick. A landscaper told me once that if you lined the inside of the pot with styrofoam and then put the plant in the soil and all of that and enough soil, that the styrofoam helps insulate the plant. That
Right.
might help on hard, cold freezes. So we're hoping.
Yeah, and I love the way you've used the same stone in here to mulch it, which also will keep it warm because these stones will hold residual
and the
heat.
black color of the pot.
And the black color of the pot.
It looks so neat coming out of the stone too.
Yeah, and it just all is just seamless. Just absolutely fabulous. Okay, now we are going to go into become a part of the fabulous patio that you have outside of your
Great, I'd love to
living
show
room
it to you.
doors. Okay. Well, the corner being glassed in really frames so beautifully this secondary courtyard, though this is more like almost a patio.
Yes.
This is magnificent with one of the largest raised beds I think I have seen in a very, very long time. Did you add that, or was that original to the house?
It was there when we originally moved in. Now it was all with ivies and about 3 or 4 different ground covers that covered the entire length of the top, and we enjoyed it for a while, and then we decided we wanted to go a new direction, and so we changed it so we could have seasonal color and a lot of variety up there instead of just ground cover.
Well, this is, I would say, probably 10 times more visually interesting than if you just had nothing but overgrown
Yes,
ivy and
yes.
vinca major here.
Well, and you know, it's actually a retaining wall.
Yes,
And
it
a lot
is.
of people would have put the retaining wall where the fence is. And just had a tall wall.
Right.
But whoever, I guess the person who built the house had enough foresight, insight to move the retaining wall in
Right.
and give us this level change inside
Originally,
the fence.
there's a brick wall behind this was the original one, and it started to give with the weight of the earth, and so then he had this retaining wall that's reinforced and then covered with concrete for texture. And I like how it's aged over time.
Yes, it's aged beautifully
Well,
over
and
time.
the colors, especially as they age, work with the stone so well on the house.
Absolutely. And you have the added advantage of not having to mow back here.
Bingo.
Which,
Yes.
which you said was definitely one of the reasons that you were attracted to this house.
Yes. When Joe and I lived in the village, there was a large front yard and back, And there's mowing, edging, bagging it,
Yeah.
weeding, and all of that. And I said, when we move, I don't want a blade of grass. And luckily, I've driven by this house before, and I saw there's no grass. So we came to look at it when it was for sale, and that's a big selling point to us.
Well, but no grass does not mean you are not a good pollinator-friendly gardener,
Yes, try
because
to,
you have
yes.
plenty of things back here that add green interest. And I just love the angles. The angles are just so interesting, and the way they contrast with other with your
Again,
beloved round
yes,
shape
I do.
in many, many different ways. In your bird feeder, in another fountain that
Again,
you've got
water,
here.
I like water, yes.
And is this just a Yopon holly?
Yep.
And it
Wow.
started as a bush, barely taller than those rocks right there.
It is so happy, and I can't wait, Roger, till mine get to look like
I
this.
know.
I just need to wait. How many years?
I've been here 28.
28 years. Well, okay, I may or may not be around to see it. But that is absolutely exquisite. I love the way you've got it framed in, mulched with stones. And then, Roger, why don't you talk a little bit about the rest of the flower bed and some of the different plantings here?
Well, again, Michael had so much already to work with, and we really didn't add that much. And usually, if we added something, we added more of something Michael already had, or we would dig up scattered plantings and combine them into one. I think the color guard yucca is an example of that. You had some there,
Yes.
but we changed it. We did things like put only the yellow glass with the color guard and separated the red someplace else.
That was brilliant, by the way, and that was an effect I recently saw at the Denver Botanical Gardens
Oh,
at
excellent.
Christmas time, actually. But that is, I don't think that would have been something that people would automatically think to do. You'd think you'd wanted contrast, but no, I think the fact that it repeats that yellow color is just
Well, and one of the things
genius.
that we wanted to do too when we were editing this is we really wanted to highlight the Michael's steel sculpture in here, because so we've only got one, basically got the three colors: the gray of the wooden fence, the yellows in the glass and the yuccas, and then the steel itself. Because the steel is pretty, it's very thin and linear, and so we really needed to kind of simplify the plantings around it to make it really stand out. But because I think that piece is
that piece
so
is-
cool.
It is absolutely brilliant. It has so much movement, and the way that it looks with the verticality and the spikiness of the yucca is wonderful. Low water
Definitely.
needs, low maintenance,
They have no sprinklers up in that area at all.
and punctuations of red. Oh, I just am now seeing this
Oh, isn't that great?
piece. I love this. Yeah, sorry, Stuart. I'm just like a little kid. I'm giddy with all of these.
And again,
That
look how
is
restful that
fabulous.
is with the Artemisia.
Yes.
What
Is
is
this
it,
silver
silver
queen?
brocade?
Silver
I think.
brocade. Okay.
And again the gray wood backdrop of the fence, and the gray stone.
Did you make that?
No, I did not. It was a gift, a generous from Gina, who's given me several over the years. That was from her. And she knows I
Wow.
like circles and round.
I love that.
And there's a light at night that shines and highlights the rock. So it really, like it's electric.
And Stuart, I don't know if you can see the man on top of this red mandevilla over here.
yeah, I can.
There are a few surprises too. We have,
Very Da Vinci-esque kind
but
of.
we have some pieces like the big. To me, that's grasses. It's like an
Yes.
expression of the wind or the
Wind,
grass,
yes.
and that's really big and bold and obvious. But then, if you sit here long enough, you start discovering little things like it's almost like
Well,
the Vitruvian Man.
And the suspended pieces that you've got, the bells. I'm almost, as brilliant as this looks here, I'm almost a little sad that it's not in a public space, because this just screams Oklahoma.
Yeah.
It really does.
I mean, you can go from the rolling plains to
to the
waving
wind,
wheat,
to clouds,
right,
yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. And an example of where always better to go larger rather than small.
Well, you know, you've got these big, bold statements of this wall. You know, you've got a big plane of fence, big slab of concrete. You really need to match that scale with some of the pots and plantings.
And lots of great color echoes.
Well, and then
Throughout the
also,
space.
even though it's the plantings are divided up into 4 different bowls, they really are kind of designed as one. As far as the colors, there's some repetition of color
Yeah.
from one to another.
Yeah.
So it really is a total composition, even though it's in 4 different pots.
I would call that Papa Bear, Mama Bear, and Baby Bears.
That's what I was thinking.
Yep. And up here, Roger,
This is a shore juniper, and I cannot remember the cultivar. The most common one, you know, is blue Pacifica, and this is obviously not a blue one.
is this just blue rug?
Don't think it's blue rug, but it might be. I think to me blue rug's a little flatter than
Yeah,
this.
juniper.
Uh-huh.
But it's a
And,
juniper.
yeah, but it's a juniper. We've got catmint behind there, again, kind of a bluish gray. The gray pebbles, and then in this hydrangea.
It's
Beautiful.
spectacular.
It's my
We're
favorite
not
thing back
sure.
here.
Michael and Joe planted it, but we're not sure what the cultivar is, but I would guess it's one of the compact ones.
Yeah.
I have Little Alice in my yard, which I like, but it's not. The Alice oak leaves tend to be just so much lankier, but that one is so dense and compact. It's nice.
And I have always grown snowflake with a huge panicle
Yes.
of flowers, but this just looks like something that was small but decided to really grow up because it was so
Yeah.
happy here.
I like the number of them.
Right.
Massive. Being
Yeah.
that small.
And growing out of this fabulous head here.
Uh-huh.
Because everybody needs to have a great big,
And then
I thought so.
yeah,
I'm sure
face
these are
in
two
their garden.
different cultivars, because this one has the pinkish blooms. And I don't think it's just that they're more mature.
And the celosia that you've got here just kind of echoes the other colors that you've got. And these discs, did you make those?
I wish I did. No, they came from the greenhouse Nancy Coates in
Okay.
Norman. Where I
One
got
of
all
the
the
things
glass.
I love about the celosia is how it repeats the vertical elements of the glass pieces as well.
Absolutely.
Say that again when I show it, 'cause you're right.
One of the things I love about the celosia is how it repeats the vertical elements of like the glass pieces and even the spikes of the yucca. And those are the kinds of things that sometimes you consciously think of it.
Yes.
Did you?
I did not.
But
now that I see it, yes.
Now that you
No.
see it, you intuitively
Yeah.
probably
you
put
recognize
those
it.
together just out of intuition because they felt right.
Right. And from the inside, we always wanted something color that we could see all summer long out the big windows. So I found those, and I just liked how full they were.
The glassworks,
Yes.
where were those made, and can you keep these out year round? Or-
Yes. I leave them out year round and don't have really any issues. Lost one or two over the years where squirrels like to jump onto them and I think try to take a ride on them, and that does snap them. But no, they handle the weather really well.
That's the real reason you put them inside of that mass planting of spiky plants, is to deter the squirrels from jumping on the.
But you know, it really is
sculpture.
pretty strong.
They are.
And if they were hit from the side, they would be a lot more fragile than if they're hit from the top.
Yeah.
So like, a hailstorm is probably not going to hurt these.
Yeah, right.
But if we get one of our softball size
Yeah.
major hailstorms, you might see some broken ones, but you'd be surprised
Most
how
of the hail
many
we
All
don't.
don't.
that's
Yeah.
rough. Well, the hail
Will not
would
get broken.
slide down the
Right,
cylindrical.
yeah.
And the yellow ones we've had out here for over 5 years and not had issues. So
Oh, that is just incredible. As are you for sharing your magnificent garden
Thank you
with
so
us.
much.
Thank you, Roger, for being our plant guide to this wonderful, wonderful space at a mid-century modern home right here in Oklahoma City.